week, I am working on my portfolio again. This is Shalene Wright. I am a children's book illustrator and artist all around, and I'm working on my children's book portfolio. So I'm just going to touch up my screen, my camera for a second. Just wanted to get everything. That's good enough. And so this week we're just going to continue where I left off. So, as an update, I did not get done what I said I was going to complete last week, which was the turnaround off camera. I am working on my business right now, which is my brand, Hope in Hand. It's a stationery business. I started it this year. And because I was so inspired creating new products, I just totally dismissed making and working on the character turnaround like I originally said I was going to do. So today, that's what I'm going to work on live. So we started last week when I was going through these different characters. We settled on this character over here. I thought she was the most fun, and I think I agreed that the style that I do is pretty consistent over here. So I told myself I'm going to stop resisting the reality of this is just how I draw. So I'm going to continue from where I left off and go from there. So if you just give me a moment, I'm going to just load up a reference sheet and go from there. Okay. So I'm just going to get right into it and prep. So I said I liked this character, so I'm going to copy and then paste. So this is the one I like. This is a sketch that I like today and this hour. My goal is simply to do one of two things. Either I'm going to start on the character turnaround. Oh, it's out of focus. I kind of wish it was in focus and it's not. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. So yeah, I want to start working on the character turnaround, and then what else do I want to do? I could work on a more finished character design or some character expressions, but this is who I'm staying with, and maybe I'll even get to do a friend. But you know, it's only been an hour, so I can't give myself too much or expect too much out of this hour. So let's keep going. It's better to do what you can handle than to overcommit and stop working altogether. So I'm just gonna start with that. So maybe it'll be better if I turned on the brightness. Hold on. It just seems so blurry. I don't think that helped very much for you, but it totally is better for me. So I'm just gonna continue, and maybe it'll go into focus a little later. Ugh, I don't like it. So, character turnaround. So, just looking at this character, she's like 3 heads and a quarter tall. And then and I'm just drawing straight after just starting. I haven't really warmed up for the day yet, so what I might see in my art is that it's rusty at first, and as I'm continuing to draw, it'll become more loose, but we'll just have to see what happens. So once I draw the character facing forward and I get the dimensions in place, then I'm going to create the lines to measure where everything else will be. I think I want to lower this. Like, I wish it wouldn't focus so much on my hands and more on the art itself. So I am not too happy with the lighting, the staging today. Streaming from your phone isn't exactly the most easy way to do things. Like, you can't choose where to focus on your screen. But I'm just gonna continue. You guys are getting my hand in like high definition, which is so unnecessary. A component of the design that I liked was that it was like this really young girl in this huge hoodie. So I think I have to find a way to still convey that. I don't want it to be stiff. I want her. Again, I sincerely apologize that the camera is so fixated on my hand and not on the screen. If I knew another way, I will figure it out next week because I am not loving it. I think this is the dramatic effect of a hoodie that I originally thought of. This is like a small version, but I think I really want to do it oversized. I think it's gonna be like a hoodie that her uncle gave her or something that she loves so much and she just doesn't like to be without it. Like it literally doesn't fit her. It's so huge. I think I like that so far, and I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, so let's get back to it. I just had to turn some music on because usually, as you know, I do it without sound, but it's because I do not want a copyright claim. So I made sure to add a copyright free, royalty free music in the background. So should I make her a bit shorter? I don't know. Oh my gosh, she has to be shorter. This is perfect. This is actually exactly what I want. Okay, now that I have this base like done, she does look a little different from last week's, but it's not like terribly different. So I'm just going to make a slight adjustment with her head, and then I'm gonna move on to the next Hey, Bubble Studio, thank you for stopping by and for dropping a thumbs up. I hope you have a wonderful day at work. It was wonderful to see you. Have a great day. Thank you for the positivity towards the progress. And thank you, Aviance. It's been coming together. I'm working out a couple of the rough spots, but it's really coming together. I'm really seeing it. This turnaround is going to be successful. I really feel it. So I'm proud of what's been coming out of it. It was a little rough in the beginning, but we're getting there. And there's a lot to fine tune, but I think the general shapes are consistent. Oh, yeah, I got your name right. I'm so happy to hear that. I was like, let me try this. I think this is how you intended to have it pronounced. I'm glad I could convey that for you and share it the way it's supposed to be pronounced. Okay. For now, I'm going to leave it here and move on to the next one. So you've never done a character turnaround, but I definitely want to try. I'm still working on developing my style. Yeah, I find it helps to know what style you want to settle on, and like that's why last week when I did this page, I was really just trying to see what kind of character I wanted to do, and I as I was exploring each character, I realized there were just some consistencies in my style that I could always rely upon. I always tend to have a very sketchy, very clean style. Even when I tried to do this style and replicate it again, it didn't work out the way I wanted to because I kept making certain stylistic decisions that were just more fun for me. And so when I realized, this is the character I had the most fun doing, and it was the easiest to do, it was seamless. It was just like, this is my true style. And anytime I work out of that, I have resistance. So I feel like now that I've settled on this style, it was just so much easier. Thank you so much. These were the explorations that I did last week on last week's live stream. So when it comes down to style, I totally understand what you mean because it could be any one of these. And sometimes it's just about keep continuing to draw until you draw out like all of your rough sketches till you get to like a good one. But sometimes it's genuinely what do you enjoy drawing over and over and over again, and that kind of pointed me towards, for this specific children's book and portfolio that I'm creating, this is how I'm doing it. In this season of my life, my art just looks like this. So that's what I'm settling for. The last thing you want to do is create a style that people like and they rave about and like, yeah, I love this style, but you do not enjoy it. I feel like it just sucks the living daylights out of you when people actually want you to draw like that and you're getting paid for it. I feel like when money gets involved or just your free time, I feel like we really should honor how we actually draw and what brings us the most joy instead of just doing what other people react to. But you know what? There are different kinds of artists out there, and I don't fall onto the spectrum of artists that is good at drawing styles that are more appealing to the masses. He said, I've been looking for inspiration from other illustrators that do children's book. It's hard finding more people that draw kids. Yeah, it actually is, especially within certain genres of books. So I know I do struggle with that. I solely rely on Instagram and waiting for other illustrators to share what they like from people they know, and that's how I find out about new things. It's so hard to just go into a bookstore sometimes and to find something you like, or I personally do. And I find if I like specific types of artists, the artists that I would like are pretty close and relative to what I like to do sometimes. And so it's easier for me to look at the people I know and see who they follow and then go from there. Because it can be really hard to get inspiration and to find out like how I ask this question all the time. Like, how do I draw kids? How do I draw babies? And I look for references, and not everybody draws them the way that I would like to interpret them. So I feel like there's always going to be a space too where you have to make it yourself in order to see it. Oh, okay, Karina. I'm right there with you, practicing. So far, it's really helpful to have these lives because otherwise, I don't think I'd be practicing as much. I would just sit down and expect myself to make like something really pretty and something nice, but it doesn't really work that way. So making these lives with you guys, having you here, really helps me to see that it does take practice, and I shouldn't forget this really important part of the creation process is like giving yourself room to make mistakes and to figure it out, because when you sit down and you just expect yourself to create a portfolio, I feel like for me it's only disaster. I've been telling myself for 2 years I was going to work on a portfolio. It never happened. So now that I give myself at least an hour every week, I can genuinely say Based on my track record, I have made at least 7 or 8 videos where I've been working on my portfolio, and I'm getting somewhere. So, if even if it's one day a week for 1 hour, 30 minutes, that practicing time you're giving yourself is so worth it. And I'm so happy and proud of you for doing that, because your hands, your mind, your artistic level, it will reward you for it. I think that's one of the fun things about art that I like is, as an artist, you can really see your effort sometimes after you figure it out. It's so rewarding to see that you've made milestones and you've been growing even when you don't even realize it. Yes, that's right. We just have to take it one day at a time and set a goal. That's right. I wouldn't want to discourage anyone from making a big goal, but even inside of making a big goal, take it one step at a time, because even though you know you're capable of doing it, time and actual ability to commit to something is a totally different factor. So he said, I'm exploring different styles to come up with my own style. I realize I like having simple shapes for characters but loud gestures. Yeah, that's so cool. That's exciting. I agree. I love that. I love that. Something that I was realizing in my own work is I always thought I wanted to do simple shapes and like simple characters and like keep it super simplified. But every time I've done that, I have gone towards the direction of detail. Like these sketches, I find like they're actually pretty detailed too. And I love doing line art. So I realize I might be somebody who likes to keep the detail in the work, and I want to convey gesture in certain scenes, but I think I want to focus on the detail and the color and the moment, because my art isn't always as expressive as I feel like it could be, but I feel like I sacrifice that quality by bringing warmth and bringing emotion. So that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that, Karina. Style can be such a interesting or even tough subject, to be honest. There's so many ways to interpret our work. It's like having so much power, but what will you do with it? Am I self taught or did you go to art school? So for me, I am self taught and a little bit of art school. So with my story, I have been self taught up until when I went to university, which is after high school. I did 2 years of art school, but then I dropped out because I didn't believe I could actually make a career in art. So, in terms of what art school gave me, it taught me a lot of structure and it taught me a lot of how to network, as well as just the foundations of like you need to just continue to practice the basics in order to be a fundamentally balanced artist. And that's what I took away from art school. But I never finished my degree. I went on to study linguistics, which is a liberal art and a form of a science. So I did something totally separate from art. But after I left art school, I realized I love art way too much, and I just kept drawing and I kept painting, and here I am today, still doing the very same thing. So it's one of those things where art school was helpful, but it did not make my career doing children's books. It was more or less it taught me that you need to be consistent and you just need to be working at the basics. But I did not have the support I needed in order to actually finish school, so there was also that. But I'll tell a lot of people, if you want to go to art school, definitely do it, because it can be a really positive experience for anybody. But I would not say it's required. But if anything, it'll show you the reality that you need to study art the same way you'd study any other science. And that's daily for hours on end, and really diving deep into why does the body look the way it does, because studying art gives you that level of, I would say, stress that you'd get from any other study. Oh, so you too. So you understand what it's like. It's like going to studios and life drawing and all of these things, but you're just like, does it actually amount to anything? And I remember one of my professors, he's like, just so you know, in this modern day and age, going to art school is not the same as being in art school 100 years ago, where you would have a career. Going to art school today is essentially a cash grab. And I was so discouraged when my professor said that. I was like, so you're telling me I'm not going to amount to anything at the end of this experience? I felt like I was giving my heart and my soul to this school. I went to OCAD University here in Toronto, and I love this school so much. But after my professor said that, I was done. I was I was done. Like thousands of dollars. Okay, I agree. I dropped out of college as well for art, because I didn't think it was possible to have an art career in it. Yeah. I've been investing in online art courses and getting inspiration from others. Same here. I I'm pretty sure maybe you know about it too. There's Schoolism. Schoolism is such an amazing online resource. There's 21 Draw that they have now. For children's books, they have the Society of Visual Art, the SVS Learn, Society of Visual Storytelling. There we go. So those are some awesome courses that I've taken. And I've taken live classes where they had running. Domestica, yes, Domestica, huge as well. I'm really happy they have all these things. Same, I also went to school and I'm now working in a completely different industry. 100%. And I feel like with art, it's so flexible, but it's also so gate kept. It's so conflicting for me to actually speak about art, because everyone speaks so negatively about it when they're not in it, but when you actually get into the field, they talk about all these opportunities and how many great things there are, but it's not actually easy to get into. Like, unless you're doing like your own business, which is totally separate. But getting into the art industry can be super gatekeepy, and I'm not a total fan of that, because publishing is something I feel like a lot of people would love to take part in, but it honestly feels like a club. It feels like a club that a lot, if you know, you know, kind of thing. But if you don't know, you really have to break in and be noticeable. So somebody gives you the invite, which is so, it can be so discouraging. But if anybody is willing to go that extra mile to form those connections, it's worthwhile, I would say. But it can be challenging. Yeah. For me, like, I do have a video on my YouTube channel. Karina just speaks exactly to your point. Like, the only reason I got into publishing and doing children's books, my breakthrough was because on the scale that I work on was essentially because someone saw my work on Instagram. And that's usually how it works anyways, if you're not submitting your portfolio to an agency that's reputable. But apart from that, it's like you need to know who's in the game. You really do need to. And I didn't even know who was in the game at that point. Like, the person who reached out to me, my agent Katrina, she over at Inkyverse, she had just started her company too. So I was like, hey, I don't even know if I can trust you. So there's also the part where, you have to gauge whether or not the people who are even offering to work with you are credible sources, because this is time, this is effort, this is money, this is your reputation. So it's not like you can go to Glassdoor and look up, is this agent a good agent. It doesn't work like that. It's all about connections. So it's so important to know a lot of illustrators and artists who have been in the field and to really bounce your ideas off of people. But it can be so hard to access other artists, to be honest. Yeah, money is a big thing. I guess another thing that I do think about, contemplate about, is how AI will actually affect the market. And I feel as though there's a lot of positive that comes out of being able to, you know, make art quickly. But I don't know how a lot of these companies are going to implement the use of AI art or these forms of algorithms into their actual pipeline. So I'm not sure what that looks like in the future because recently I have been seeing some AI art that is like it doesn't look like AI art. It looks incredible. And I'm like, you know what? This is actually oddly inspiring. But I'm oddly inspired by an AI and it's questionable. I even question my own like how does that make me feel that my art is superseded in terms of scale, color application by a computer and potentially could do my job better than me. Or maybe it does actually. That's the that is the reality. But knowing all of these things, I still have to consider, where do I stand and what can I bring the world? Because the thing about AI and the thing about being an artist is that an AI can only do what the input the user is telling them. So I feel like if anything, it's gonna give people who have always had ideas that never had an ability or worked on the skill to communicate them an avenue to do that. But it's not actually gonna give them the ability to I feel like if a person who doesn't draw and has AI and a person who does draw and knows AI came together, like that's a powerhouse. Honestly. And I don't know what else to say about that because the more I look around in the market and I learn and I see, hey, what's out there? What products are actually out there? I'm actually seeing more and more AI art being sold, being put on products, being just more accessible to the public in that way. And I feel like people who aren't artists who are looking for artisan goods are getting products that are made by AI and by someone who isn't drawing them. And as much as I feel like personally I'm just like, man, that takes away from somebody who could have drew that or somebody who could have gotten a job. It makes me feel conflicted, but I still question my own personal reasons behind it. Like, is it me that feels like I'm losing out, or am I just kind of like, why didn't I think of that first? It's just interesting. So to make the art, the AI has to have a resource bank images or art works which they have taken from real artists without their knowledge. Oh, that makes sense. It actually does make sense because I've seen a lot of it that looks like Sam does art, and a lot of it that looks like a lot of really great artists. I'm like, man, like this is incredible how it works, but it's so wrong. It is honestly so wrong. I feel like I guess because the AI isn't actually creating art from a source that is within itself, that's what makes it wrong. Oh, that actually is kind of messy, isn't it? because some of the pieces that I've been seeing that are being sold on Etsy, on Redbubble, Amazon, I'm like, I know that this was not created by an artist. And they are selling, like, they are selling. They are selling because a lot of people don't know. And I feel like a lot of people, a lot of consumers might not actually care. So there's also that aspect on top of not knowing. I feel like it's giving access to people who would never actually be able to afford some of this art, this style of art, which is really challenging. So I think about it, I'm like, man, if I was 15 years old and I was on a budget and I didn't have like money to extra income to just splurge on what I wanted, and I seen some of this art, I would jump on that 100% because it's just so hard to pay for a print of that cost from an actual artist who would to make it. Usually they're like hundreds of dollars. So I feel like although it's wrong, I can see why people jump on it and they don't know better. I can actually see why they don't know better and why people would be ignorant. It's so unfortunate. And I don't know what that's going to look like for art schools, for animation, for all of this. Because even in Photoshop now, they have an AI feature. And I haven't checked it out yet, but I'm like, I have to keep up with the how things are moving. Things are just going way too fast for me. I don't know if this is even safe to have AI just everywhere in life now. It's in Grammarly, it's in YouTube. Like, it's just common knowledge that it's just a part of our daily life. I don't know what else to think about this. I personally feel like with art, in terms of where I see myself with art, I feel like children's books is becoming something I want to do part time. Like, I've been doing it full time for quite a few years, well, a couple of years actually. I was doing it part time back before 2020, and then I started doing it full time for the past 3 years. But now I feel like my inspiration and my desires are changing, and I want to do children's books that mean something to me, and I want to start working on my own children's book. So my priorities are changing, but not only that, I also want to use my art in a different way as well. I really want to start moving into the field of just stationery and products. I've already started this year. I started with my own shop, and it's been teaching me so much. Don't worry, Elena, we're done. I'm moving over. I'm moving over from AI because it's like, it's so depressing. It is. So I'm moving off that topic. I'm talking about, what was I talking? I was just saying it. Starting my own shop, yes. So, um, starting my own shop. But yeah, AI is everywhere. It's on Etsy, it's on Amazon, it's everywhere. And so I think about that even with starting my own products and things like these because it's everywhere. It's bleeding. It's literally bleeding out. And yeah, it's on Etsy. If you look on Etsy, oh my gosh. Prints, stickers, notebooks, mouse pads, shirts. It's everywhere. 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 Printables, everywhere. Anything digital. I agree, Elena. It needs to be regulated. and somehow it needs to not be given the same status as artists. I think so too. I really think so. I think it should be explicit, very explicit when people are engaging with AI art that it's like, hey, this is AI art. It should be like a banner. It should be like something people an informational section because not a lot of people realize that it's been generated by a computer. I think about, our the products that I would make on will they even be good enough? And I feel like, you know what, I have to not worry so much about an AI because the computer's not my problem. It's the person. It's the person behind it. And you know what? They're my competition now in terms of when I think of products and wanting to serve people through my art and encourage people. But I have to meet finding customers is always going to be the reality, and finding people that actually enjoy my art is going to be really the uphill battle because it's not about my quality of art that's important. It's about how I make people feel. So as long as I don't treat people like they're robots and that they're supposed to give me money and they're supposed to support my businesses and my ventures. I feel like that's the most important factor because what I do see about AI art is there's actually like a coldness to it. When I see even pages on Instagram and online, they're not actually very responsive. And I feel like when you're an artist and you put your own effort into your work and someone messages you and says like, "Hey, I love this." There is such like a lot of artists, they acknowledge that because you're acknowledging them. But when it's AI art and you're churning out like 50 pieces with like the press of a button, do you really feel that appreciation? And I feel like when I see these AI pages, people are commenting and saying like, "Yeah, I love this," but they're so devoid of responses. And I find that to be so cold. So, there's the human aspect that people love to have with an artist just isn't there when it comes on to AI art because they can't take ownership for something they didn't actually create. And so I feel like that sense of community people would have with an artist is not replicable with AI art and AI art communities because come on, you're creating like 100 pieces in like 2 seconds and you're always trying to be creating the next thing. And so there's no actual moment of pause where you're like, wow, someone is seeing my 12-hour effort on this one piece. It's not like that. And I feel like the communities in AI art suffer for that, but that is not our problem. So you can only emulate so much and you can't emulate human connection. So that's one thing I'm going to just bank on for now. And I have hope in that because like us sitting here right now, imagine if it was just a computer drawing. Like I would not it wouldn't be interesting. So we as artists, I feel like we have a huge strength in the human connection and being able, like, that's what struggle, suffering, and being able to connect to people through the reality. Like, this is hard work. Like, even if it's easy, I have to sit here for like 2 hours just to draw like a couple lines. And even if it's easy for one person, hard for the next, it's still a measurement of effort. And I feel like we can all see that it's tangible. But to sit down and to draw things, to write out a sentence and to compile works that someone else has already put the labor into, yeah, I don't think it garners the same level of humanity that we as people look for when we're trying to connect to someone. So I take a lot of pride in that, in being human. It's weird, but it's true. Like I don't feel bad for myself. I'm trying to lean into the humanity of it because there are always going to be people who are not on the fence, who are not on the side of AI art, and they don't even have to be totally on the same page as like, hey, you don't have to hate AI art. I just want people to I want to garner the type of people who just appreciate the human connection, and I think I would rather just stop there because there are going to be spaces where AI art is going to be helpful, and it's going to take away some people's jobs or some people's prospects. But I feel like it's more meaningful to lean into the parts of our society where we're all being seen versus kind of trying to say, like, are you for AI or are you not? And so the division's always going to be there, but do you like human connection or not? I feel like that's the deeper question. So there's that. Yeah, we as humans, we love community and we want to feel connected to people. And if everywhere we turned, we knew that a large part of design was just because a computer said it's best, I feel we just feel disconnected to art as a whole. And the reason why art is so important is because it's connected to someone and it comes from someone. And without that, I don't know, it wouldn't be the same. Like, I'm not going to a concert made by a robot. Like, and I know there are like those synthetic sounds and like in Japan they have like, I forgot the name of it, but like they have those softwares where you can like emulate the sound of a voice and it comes out singing and stuff like that. But I'm not really referring to that because that's still human connection. Someone's writing those lyrics. Someone's choosing the pitch, someone's choosing the tone. That's different. I'm talking about people who want to be totally devoid of human connection where it's like, I didn't do anything. Like, this masterpiece came out because I wrote one sentence and it just, like, no, I'm not watching your movie. Even if it's good, it's not going in the books because it's not impressive. It's not impressive. Like, there's nothing impressive about that. So I find a lot of comfort in that because we as people, even as humans, we like to know that like, something is attainable. And even if it's hard to achieve, there's an aspect of the difficult that kind of leans into like, maybe I can do it too. That's the hardest thing ever. Why don't I try? We're always trying to push the barriers sometimes, or we're just trying to see if we can do it. And I feel like AI ruins that for a lot of people. So human connection, I'm all for it. It's annoying, but it's it's human. Us being an artist is being human, and you will never be able to take that away from me. It's just unfortunate that people are profiting off of other stuff. But apart from that, I'm super happy to share that I have an online shop and it's so much fun. Well, I wouldn't say fun. It's so much hard work, but I'm in a learning phase right now and it's my shop is open on Etsy. It's called Hope in Hand. I haven't talked about it yet and made a video about it because I'm still not like totally 100% proud of it. I'm proud that I started and I'm proud that it's there. But until I make my video where I'm actually sharing the products, I haven't gone so far as to talk about it. So I should be making that video soon. But until then, I feel like that's going to be my passion project for the next couple of years, and children's books are just going to be something I do for fun because like I shared in my video on how I became a full-time illustrator, like my goal was just to make art for fun. And going into full-time, as much as it was like a goal, like I was so content back in 2020 to just work a part-time job and not have to worry about what art I'm making. Like, I want to make art that means something to me, and I want to enjoy making art, and I don't want to feel like I'm tied down all the time. And so if it's not for my own book right now, or a project that I'm super passionate about, or my stationery stuff where I'm going to use to explore my own work, I'm not crazy about just working for work's sake. Like, I want to earn money to fund my art projects. That's just it. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be full time. I used to think that was it. That's when I made it. But no. I'm still like, I don't really like this feeling. I don't enjoy feeling tied down or stuck in projects or commitments when now I'm ready in my heart, I'm like, I think I have a story in my heart. I think I want to move on to the next thing for me. I want to be able to do that. And so I analyze and I think about what's most important. And it's important to always be in a position where you can provide for yourself and your family. And so as long as I'm doing those things, I really don't see any shame in having a career outside of the art industry or not being where you thought you should be, as long as you're creating the work you want to be making. And so it really has brought me to a place of, this, what is it that I want? And maybe I'm returning back to my old goals. So art isn't always about other people. Like, it's different. I mean, it doesn't always have to include the process of other people. I think I've shared before, but I have a tendency to think of others before I think about myself. And it can be very damaging for me because when I make art, I'm always thinking, hey, this would be, people would like this. But I'm not actually asking, do I like this first? And so I feel like doing art full time has put me in a position where I'm always thinking about the next, like, who's going to like this. And so it's pushed me further and further away from, do I like what I'm making? And I didn't have that soundboard to remind me that, what I want is important too. So I'm just sharing to you on the stream that what you want matters, and how it feels when you get what you want matters too. It's not just about the compensation, it's not just about the accolades. It's also whether or not, if tomorrow it's something that you're going to care about too. And I feel like that sacrifice of time that you've given towards each and every project matters. And it's, if you feel stuck, it's worthwhile to think about, are you doing what you feel is most important to you? And it's not a bad thing to see yourself in a position where it's like, hey, I'm not doing this all the time. But even if you get to that place and you're like, hey, I am doing this all the time, this is what I said I wanted, it's okay to change your mind and be like, yeah, it's too high stress for me. It's too much work, or it takes the fun out of it. Because if you don't do that self-realization and that self-analysis to see, hey, where am I at right now? It's been a couple years, it's been 5 months. Is this important to me still? Always do that check-in, because our minds do change and they can change, but you shouldn't be punished for feeling differently than you did 5 years ago, because you are not the same person you used to be. Okay, so I have one more. I think I have one more turn to do, which is the back. And then I just have to rotate this horizontally. And then I have a full turnaround. I'm almost there. Oh my gosh. Almost there. And then I'm going to touch everything up, the details, to make it more consistent, because she is not consistent right now. I actually seen once, like, I seen this years ago. Like, you can, like, copy this, your front view, and then do it again and make a back view from it. I think I've seen this once. I've never done it myself, but I think you can like erase everything. Okay, wait, I have to picture it that it's backwards. This is gonna be so interesting. Oh my gosh. Wait, no. I think I see it. I think I see it. So this would be the hoodie. Oh, this is so weird. Okay, so technically that's the back of the hand now. This would be where the backpack goes. Oh yeah, it actually works. What? It's crazy. I have to learn how to draw backpacks because I always draw them the exact same. Here I was about to draw the entire thing again. I literally was about to do that. Yeah, this is a totally awesome hack. I finished that in like 2 seconds. If you guys are enjoying this video, I encourage you to leave a like or subscribe if you'd like to see more. I go live every Friday and, well, as many Fridays as I can at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm still working on my children's book portfolio and it's coming along. Today we got the turnarounds essentially finished, and I'm liking it. You know what? I have no complaints here. Let's see if I could do the same thing with this one. And I think I just have to rotate it. No, it's not what I'm expecting. But maybe I'll... What did I do in my old one, actually? On my old portfolio, I'm not too sure what I did. So I'm just taking a quick peek at what I did. Yeah, I just did 4 actually on my old one. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. This is the 4, yeah. So now all I have to do, thank you so much. Thanks, Zoe. And so now what I'm gonna do, now that I did the 4, all I have to do is create a good copy of our main character. And I'm gonna redo this one after I make this better. And then that'll be it. Like, we're gonna be done our character turnaround. I'm so proud of this time that I've spent. I think it's been an hour and a half. I'm not sure. Let me see what time it is. Yeah, roughly an hour and a half, a little bit over. But we've gotten a lot done in this time. And it's not like the craziest amount of work, but it's a start. And I feel like that's the most important thing. So even if it's just 1 hour a week, you can definitely make a portfolio. 100%. I'm proving it to you guys. 100% it's possible. I'm actually astonished myself. Hey, Toon Cloud Studio. Good to see you. Hope you're having a wonderful day or afternoon. So let's make this a bit more detailed. So this is still the sketch phase. It's not exactly like the final line art. So My goal right now is to make the drawing more consistent. So this is still the old copy. I'm gonna have to do this over again because what I've made here is a bit more finished. So I'm gonna try to make it more equal on both sides or just more consistent through each of the faces. Uh-oh, wrong layer. That's too low. So always remember it's pretty important to adhere to the lines that you guys have made in the background so you're consistent. I need to follow my own advice. Okay, so I'm getting the consistency that I wanted. It's coming through a bit more. Let's see. I think it actually does look like the same character. I'm not going to get in my head about it. I think for a clean sketch, it's pretty good. I feel like I'm losing the size of the sweater when I do this way. So I think I need to push this back a little bit more. Yeah, it's better. I need to move her legs over. She's kind of standing funny. Yeah, that's better. I'm getting lazy. I can feel it. I might be getting like mentally fatigued, but I think this is like super close. I definitely think so. I think this is it. I think like this is as far as I can get for today. This might be it. I am super proud of this progress. So let me move it over a bit. Anything else I add would just be touch-ups, and they would more or less just be like stylistic things, but this is what we're looking at. So this was the character we made last week, a really rough sketch. I was inspired by her. And what I liked about her was essentially that she had like a really big hoodie, but look how much further I took the hoodie. Like, this was a big hoodie to me last week, but I really wanted to push the hoodie and make it oversized. And so that's what we did today. And so we did our turnaround. I don't know if I will take it further than this and really clean it up, or if I'll just take it straight to color and like finalize them. But this is a really great start, and I'm going to use this as a base for sure. If anything, I'll probably just color it all black. I use red because I find like it's less jarring on my eyes when I'm actually sketching things out, and it doesn't feel final. Oddly, it's just the way things are. When I use red, I feel like I'm allowed to make mistakes, so I use red. And I feel like it looks better too. Red just looks better. But for the actual portfolio, I'll have it in black. And so this is what we're looking at for today. I feel really good about our girl. I don't got a name for her yet, but this is what it is. You know what? Yeah, this is it. So next week, I'll have to do... What will we do next week? I don't want to color live because it's not one of my strengths. Coloring always is a thing for me, but we could work on our the next character in this story, and if not, I'll just color these live. But I feel like I want to give you guys something new to look at every week, so maybe I'll decide next week. But if I work on anything more, like I usually do, I will share before I start when I begin the stream what I completed so far and what I've done. But apart from that, this is it. Super proud of what came out of the session. And I'm so thankful for each and every one of you that have been here, stopped by, gave me a moment of your time today, and shared this awesome stream. It was really great. And I just have to give a shout out to each and every one of you that engaged with me today, from Karina to Elena, Zoe, who else was here? Aviance, Bubble Studio, Toon Cloud Studios, each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here, stopping by, and for taking the time out of your day to really be here with me in this moment. So thank you so much once again. It is Friday, so I'm wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And so see you later. See you next week. Next week, Friday, Eastern Standard Time at 12 p.m. And it'll be such a great time next week too. So see you later.